Welcome to Optimal Game State. So this is the second of my two videos for this week, where I am playing some Star Wars. So the other one, it was with Stargrave, and this one is going to be with Warcry. Now, yeah, as I was talking about last week, I had been painting up a bunch of Star Wars Legion miniatures, but I didn't really want to play Star Wars Legion. I wanted to play some skirmish game and have a bit of fun. We were going to take the Hope Eternal campaign, first mission out of that from Stargrave, as an idea for a mission. So the idea is your unit is going in to capture a data terminal, get some data in a building in the central of the map. So we played that through with Stargrave. It was a bit of fun, but I also want to do it with a version of Warcry, because Warcry is one of my favorite versions of my favorite skirmish games. So if you check the links, you will find I've got the generic skirmish game core rules, which is basically just Warcry, but with the numbers fall off and no profiles in it. And then I've got a setting pack. So the idea here is that you make a setting pack with different profiles and different abilities, and that is distinct and separate from the core rules. Anyway, it'll be in the links. You can check them out. This is what I did for Cassian. So Cassian move 4, all humans, 3 defense. He's not wearing armor. 4 weapon skill, which means he's pretty decent at it, and 18 wounds, which is great. So that's basically 0. I gave him a bunch of abilities, and I gave him a weapon that he could convert. So the idea was he start with one of these, and I think he starts the game with the blaster rifle, but for a double you can convert to the pistol version or to the sniper rifle version. He's also got a bunch of other abilities in there, but we won't look at them yet. This is K2SO. So pistol, fists, he is a droid. You can see his defense is quite good at 5, and his weapon skill is quite good at 5. So 5 is the chunky armored kind of standard for this, and 5 weapon skill means you're quite experienced. You're very good at combat. Here we can see some rebel operatives. So in this mission, I think we took. What did we take? We'll see a picture later. We took a bunch of rebel operatives. One of them had a sniper rifle. Most of them had twin pistols. And then one was a cell leader. And yeah, so they're unarmored, which means they have defense of 3. A lot of them do also have sprint. So sprint is basically your normal rush. Weapon skill 4 means you're okay with it. And yeah, you can see 10 and 12 health. Pistols, sniper. There's a bunch of things that'll kind of come up later. Oh, this was a droid. So these are non-combatants. So the idea is they're super cheap, 30, but they can move around and do stuff. So the astromechs are a little bit slow, but they do have interface access, which lets them use a double to open doors or interact with things and do stuff. This is a stormtrooper. Stormtroopers are 5 defense, which indicates they're quite chunky. Oh, actually, sorry. I didn't even mention. If you're familiar with Warcry, you will know that toughness. I changed the wording of toughness to defense, and I changed the wording of strength to weapon skill. And then we've taken the strength off of the weapons. So the weapons don't have strength. It comes from the profile. So yeah, again, tinkering away with things, just having a little bit of fun. And the standard guy here, the Stormtrooper, has this blaster rifle, which is range 3 to 15, 3 dice, and does 2-4 damage, which is super, super good. If we had that in Warcry, I'd be super, super happy for it. It also has rapid fire. Now, rapid fire basically gives you that extra dice on your attacks for a double. So in this version of it, you don't have those generic abilities unless they're something that you have given to you. So this is a nice way to kind of separate it. So they're not going to be able to use that with their unarmed strikes. They're not going to be able to use, or they're only going to be used with that. The weapons that have it, basically. Just a way of keeping it separate. Anyway, look, Stormtroopers. This is how we split it up. So there's an A, B, and a C. So this would be equivalent of A would be our shield group, B would be our hammer, and C would be our dagger. And I think I might have ended up adding in an extra guy here. I can't remember. I think maybe I miscalculated points. I started. Anyway, we've got a bunch of Stormtroopers. here's what our rebels look like. So we've got Cassian and we've got K2SO in one group. Then we've got the astromech, the sniper, and we've got one of the gunslingers. And then at the back, we've got in the pink is actually the rebel operative leader, and then 2 more gunslingers. This is the map. Map is the standard size. So this is actually the map from the first Norwood box. And so it's significantly smaller than the map we were using in Stargrave. This is a deployment we randomly picked out. So again, I switched it to A, B's, and C's rather than the previous ones, just because for thematic reasons. And then here we get things set up. So I did actually make a mistake here, and I didn't realize I was putting this together afterwards. I'm going to flick quickly back. The B's, I mixed up the B's. So A, B, and C for red is for the rebels, and A, B, and C in blue is for the Empire. I mixed up the B's, the colors of B's. So as you can see at the bottom, we've got my sniper and droid and gunslinger all sitting down at that what should have been the B for the Empire. Instead, they're all crammed there at the top. Oops, I'm playing it myself, so no one really cares. And these are the guys on the side. Well, we got another one over fast enough. Maybe it came from that side. That's probably what it was. Okay, so we have the heavy blaster, and then that's our commander for the stormtroopers. And then in this particular slot, I guess I got a little bit too excited about being able to put a sniper up there. That's probably what did it. We've got the droid ready to open that door in there. And we've got the gunslinger good to move around. And we actually have K2SO and Cassian off by themselves, off in the kind of pad position. The other stormtroopers and the other gunslingers are all due to come on at the start of the second turn. So as with many of the deployments for Warcry, you get kind of part of your list on turn 1 and then the rest of it in turn 2, which kind of always speeding things up. So what we did have was we did open that door straight away, but that was not the one we were looking for. So this wasn't the place where the terminal was going to be. I didn't bother putting loot tokens in for this. And then we had the astromech make a run as fast as it could then to try open that other door. And one of the doubles that I had given the astromech was a double to interact. So normally we would take an action to interact, but in this case, just spending a double, let them do it. So got the door open, and then we can see we've got the terminal down there. Sniper moved up. Now, one of the things I found quite interesting on this was getting some line of sight in and then the ranges. So I did kind of mess this up on occasion, but the blasters actually have a minimum range of 3, which can be very frustrating in this low level things. The pistols are a little bit worse, but they can be used in melee, and they've got basically a 0 minimum range. This sniper rifle actually has a 6 minimum range, so it's really, really good, but you can only be lining up targets far away. In this case, we moved in position, and we rolled to get a shot, and didn't actually get anything, unfortunately. Now, I will go back to this guy, and I will say what I should have done instead, but we did what we did. These are the guys on the far side. So this is our heavy weapon, and they're all ready at the door, ready to breach. So this is the same room that droid had just moved in, just from the other side. Now, this is what I ended up doing with the sniper afterwards. So the sniper on this turn shot and then moved back. So this was the start of turn 2, I think. And then I took used a double, which is one of the sleeper cell abilities, to actually get stealth. Stealth is something that, again, new to this. I'm probably driving you nuts if you're a dedicated Warcry player and haven't read through the document yet. And I don't blame you for not having it. The idea with stealth was to give you an action that you could take, which if no one had line of sight on you, that they couldn't gain line of sight to you as long as you had some cover. So the idea is you're crouching down, you're hiding. So it's it kind of mirrors the kind of conceal order that you see in Kill Team, but instead it's in Warcry and it takes an action to get into. Or in this case, we were using the ability to do it. The sniper rifle was actually set up to have silent. And then you're checking to see if you're retaining stealth at the end of the turn. So he had fired and moved back. He was fired any other weapon. he would have lost it. If he was in line of sight of a Stormtrooper, he would lose it at the end of turn. You can double check the rules to see how I've written up. Interesting idea. It did actually make this guy kind of scary, because the troopers basically had to move closer to be able to kind of work out where he was. Otherwise, weren't able to easily shoot on him. I think there was a combination of good position, nice weapon, and being able to kind of get the camo in. So maybe fine, maybe not. Lots of testing to do. Breach was made. Guy got in. This is on the other side. Okay, so yeah, the sniper was getting some shots in, and then Cassian was moving up and trying to get some shots in as well. But we've got a bit of a shooting lane here. Getting some cover, shooting around those corners is going to give you +1 toughness, just like normal Warcry. So sometimes it matters, sometimes it won't. In this particular case, those Stormtroopers are going to be getting 6 toughness, which will make it really, really hard to hit. But Cassian is going to be shooting with a weapon skill of 4, so it'll be strength of 4 versus their defense of, or their toughness of 6. Again, another change I was putting in would have been doubling, or if they doubled, I was making it a little bit easier to hit, or a little easier to crit, or not be able to crit. All right. This was the droid. The droid basically scooted around to try to get into position. One of the rules I had for him as a non-combatant was the idea that if he's not the closest target, you can't shoot at him. Awkwardly, in this particular situation for the Stormtroopers, he was a little too close to shoot anyway. So they needed to get him to get him close, but not too close, if that made sense. So you can see here me measuring. As soon as my leader Stormtrooper leader stepped through, he was within 3 inches, so he could no longer shoot the droid because it was just too close for the minimum range. Very, very awkward. And then, this my gunslinger came in and dropped some shots onto that heavy weapon. Probably an end of a turn. What do we have going on here? We've got lots of tokens everywhere. So we've got those Stormtroopers have been moving up. They were spawning at the top. And then coming up from the bottom, we've got those 3 rebel gunslingers. Okay, this one was fun. So one of the abilities I gave the gunslingers. So the gunslingers have 4 dice, and they do 2-3 damage, and they have a weapon skill of 3, so it's a strength of 3. So, they're, or is it strength of 4? Might be 4. Anyway, they're okay at shooting. But the idea was with a double, what you could do is you could have a gunslinger's gambit, and they could break it into 2 weapons. And then basically normally with the way Warcry works, whenever the designers put 2 dual weapons together, all they do is add +1 attack to it. And in this case, I was going to have a double that would let you split the gun into 2 and then shoot 2 different targets. So that's what I was doing here. So it was 3 dice and then 3 dice. Now, I did make a mistake, and I actually let myself use that twice, which wasn't something I should have been doing. So you should only be able to use 1 ability each activation. And again, this is another Warcry rule that I loosened. I decided that I would let my fighters use multiple abilities in the same turn, but the one provision I did put in was that you shouldn't be using the same ability twice in the same activation, which is something I did there. And then on top of that, so I blew all the dice. So I did a double for Gunslinger's Gambit, so shooting 2 targets. So that was a 3 dice and a 3 dice, which gave me more dice. So 6 dice rather than normal 4, which was great. But I was splitting up targets, so the idea was that you're loosening up the your to kill chance, and then the triple, the triple for the cell operatives is a charge. So basically, pick a target or place a token within 4 inches of where you are, and then it'll do a 3-inch explosion, doing 3 damage to everyone. So in this case, I split a bunch of damage with the dual pistols, and then I dropped a grenade in the middle of everything, and we ended up taking out 2 of those troopers, leaving just the leader behind. So, did I learn anything from that? I need to remember not to double use the same ability. I can kind of understand why the default Warcry rules don't let you have multiple abilities, because in this case, it was one of my first actions, and I just dumped like 2 doubles and a triple into the same activation, which was pretty gross. But no, I think I'm still with it. Still good with it. I think it was a lot of fun. All right, this is on the other side. So one of the stormtroopers had been moving over and actually ended up outflanking Cassian. So he started getting some shots off and did some actual damage. And what do we have here? I got K2SO. It's trying to move up into the building, but it's kind of a bit jammers. And we're getting some shots back and forth in. Oh, what's here? Oh, okay. So this was a quad. So I have been trying to give each of the different groups cool abilities. And in this case, what was happening with the quad was the stormtroopers would give anyone, or the stormtrooper leader would give every stormtrooper within 6 inches a free move or free attack. So in this case, those two to the left were, and there is one just behind that. Those three were able to get some extra shots in, which did a lot of damage. You can see Cassian is now at 16 damage, and that's where that all came from. So basically he gave the order to open fire, take out Cassian, then Cassian for his activation pulled back because that was quite a blistering amount of fire. He doesn't have much health left. Then we start moving over. So I think this was K2SO moves. Or did he move? No, he turned, pulled out the pistol and did some shots. But now he's the primary target for the stormtroopers as they move up. This looks like an end of turn. So you can see I've got all 3 stormtroopers pointing at K2SO, but we've also got 2 gunslingers moved in position here. We still have that sniper and stealth. Interestingly now, because those troopers have moved forward, they are now within the minimum range of that sniper. So he is going to have to take a target over to the left instead if he wants to be able to shoot anything. We can see that the droid has rumbled down to the terminal and has taken an action. It would have been an action. I don't think I double tap to pick up the information. So we've added that icon there. So that's the real objective for this. We're being pretty loose about the game. There's no proper real objectives. It's just to see kind of what happens, I think. All right, so we're opening up some fire. It looks like K2 may have taken a few more hits. He hasn't got out yet. Now, this was another one. So the gunslinger is now within the 3-inch minimum range of the blaster. So that captain isn't able to open up the blaster. What he should have done is he should have backed away and then, try to get shot or stay where he is and shoot at the droid. No, he can't shoot at the droid because the droid's not the closest. What he ends up doing is the wrong thing. So I end up moving him into melee. But as we'll see in a second, that was a terrible, terrible idea. So he basically swings. I think the melee is like 1-2 for damage, so he's not going to get much done even if he succeeds. What's happening here? Blister fire. K2SO looking pretty grim at 13, but still up, still good. Gunslinger moves in, takes out one of them. And what else do we have? Oh, yeah. So this trooper who had been outflanking Cassian finally gets the kill in, not realizing at this point that he has changed the entire series of all of the movies. So no Rogue One, and that means, everything from there on no longer happens. And he doesn't even realize. He just walks on. Moving over to try lay down some fire and back up his brothers, which definitely need backup because K2SO is quite scary. He had 15, so I think we had him at 16, maybe 18 wounds. So he's not that far off death at this point. Sniper is able to lay down some fire on the far side, and then our gunslinger finally gets here. So this was where I was saying, because he was in melee, he did have a minimum range on his range attack, so he was able to target it. So the pistols are very, very good if you're able to close with them, whereas the blasters are better if you're able to stay outside that 3-inch range. I thought that was interesting. One of the issues, or one of the concerns I had with this particular version of the game was we have tons of range. How is that going to play out? How is that going to look at? And actually, the minimum ranges came into effect a lot more than I was expecting. And we saw a lot of these troopers go down. This was the final board. I probably need to go back and have a look at the abilities I've given the troopers and give them a few more interesting things. The rebels certainly had a lot more options, and anytime you've got one of the heroes, they've got a ton of fun stuff they can do. So, yeah, you can see K2SO beating a retreat to try stay alive, and top right, you can see that rebel commander in the red coat is leading the droid away to, bring the Death Star plant somewhere into a sunset or something like that. All right, that was my Star Cry game. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do give a quick glance over the documents that'll be linked to it, so you can see the profiles they use. You can see the kind of tweaks I made to the rules. And please do add some comments to them if you can. So to Google Docs, you should be able to add some comments, or just add some comments here at the end of the video. Thank you very much for indulging me in this bit of fun, and have a great week. Thanks for making it all the way to the end. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Each week I put up a new video talking about one of Games Workshop's specialist games. The goal is always to try and make the best possible two-player experience. If this is something you'd find interesting, please subscribe to the channel and comment to let me know what you'd like to see in future.